Hey, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. It is the Earth Master here on this Saturday night, April 22nd, 2023. It's about 9:41 p.m. here along the West Coast in California. And 1.2, it looks like, the latest earthquake up here into the Alaska region. All right, so let's see what else we got going on here. First, before we jump into earthquake activity, I do want to chat about some space weather activity coming to the area tomorrow night about this time. We are expecting, a pretty good hit from this CME that was produced from the sun a day or so ago. It will be arriving as scheduled roughly about this time tomorrow night with a G2 storm probability. KP index up there around 6 or so. Notice the Earth here in the green dot, and this is a CME that is headed towards us. It looks like it's just going to clip us with the brunt of the system here missing us, according to the plasma density. Now here's the velocity, the wind speed, so to speak. The green, of course, is Earth, and so it looks like, it's going to hit us, but it's not going to be anything major going on. I know a lot of folks out there using a little bit of fear-mongering with this CME, but we actually get these all the time, these Earth-directed full halo CMEs. So we'll see how this plays out. I don't think anything drastic going to happen here. We've seen stronger events in the past. So here's the 3-day geomagnetic forecast from the solarham.net site, also the Space Weather Prediction Center, and they are forecasting the time frame between 0 and 600 UTC time, April 27th. And if you look at the UTC time, current UTC time here, it is the 23rd UTC time right here, and roughly about 0444. So anytime between, it's going to be probably around the perfect time, right around dark throughout tomorrow night. Look for this potential G2 class storm to create some auroras at the high latitudes and also possibly the northern tier states here in the United States. So G2 class storm. Mid latitudes have a 35% chance of seeing the auroras, 80% chance at the higher latitudes there. So watch for that tomorrow night. Right now, things relatively calm for the most part. Slight unsettled conditions up here at the higher latitudes with the aurora oval forecast showing just some minimal activity currently taking place. So we'll definitely watch this for tomorrow. Current flare threat looks like 95% chance for C flare, M flare at 35, X flare around 1% chance, and a current look at the magnetic structures of the sunspots. Nothing really has changed since this morning's update. This regional sunspot is drifting off and saying goodbye here on the western limb of the sun. That will rotate off view, and we're really left with not a whole lot of probability of any significant sunspots producing any major flares. This region down here is about the only potential that could be providing a little bit of flare activity. The UV filter rays here looks fairly minimal for now. Not a whole lot of flaring popping off from any of these sunspots, and everything looks fairly stable on the X-ray flux chart. Those dipping below the C level, C flare level right here. All right, earthquake activity. Let's see what's going on. I'm going to start out here in the big island of Hawaii, where we had a 4.2 earthquake. Actually, it looks like they downgraded that. Originally came in as a 3.9, upgraded to 4.2. Now it looks like it's downgraded to 4.1. So a little bit of bouncing around here. Very shallow earthquake just below the surface there. Looks like 1.2 kilometers. Was felt over a fairly broad area here of the big island. That, of course, is a little concerning because I believe this is all in relation to potential recharging of the system here, so to speak, with the Kīlauea volcano Looks like we are seeing a little swarm of activity following that 4.1, roughly about the same depth or so, a little bit deeper on these last couple earthquakes. I don't think we've seen any updates yet from the USGS here. Hold on a second. HVO. Okay, here's the informational statement. Looks like they put one out here just recently in regards to this 4.2 that occurred southeast of Volcano Island of Hawaii. The earthquake had no apparent impact on either Mauna Loa or Kīlauea volcanoes. Not that we know of yet, right? Do we really know what's going on? Definitely, I think there's some magma movement going on below that area. 4.2. These guys right here, they're treating this as just an earthquake. I don't see anything about, about what could be going on below the surface here. They're treating this as just like an earthquake. Earthquake intensity, earthquake forecasts, aftershocks are possible. Well, I don't believe it's just faults out here. This is very close to the Kīlauea volcano. And it's all part, I believe, of an ongoing swarm that's began out there over the last couple weeks. Here is the last 30 days of earthquake activity showing 183 earthquakes. So this is just very close nearby. We've seen inflation of areas around the volcano, indicating magma intrusion below. Right? What else? Or gases below that could be creating that uplift. Not anything huge yet, but I believe there's a lot more going on underground here than a couple active faults. I mean, it's just a little weird that they would just treat this as earthquake activity. Obviously, it is, but what is causing that earthquake activity? I think we know. So we'll watch that here and pay close attention here to Kīlauea volcano for some further activity. Down here in the Pahala area, 2.5, the latest earthquake in that typical swarm down here. The swarm's been going on for many years, actually, and very consistent with the depth of those earthquakes there. All right, let's see what else we have. West Coast, anything major going on out here? Doesn't look like it. A couple spotty earthquakes up into the Washington area. A quick glance at the tremor map tonight, the Cascadia tremor. 669 earthquakes or epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia, and mostly confined there to our two separate areas. This has been an ongoing event since about the 4th of this month is when that elevated activity picked up here, and it's still on the rise, and I think we'll continue that for a little bit. I don't think we're done yet. We did have a pretty good absence of tremor for a little while. So if anything, I think we'll peak out a little bit more in the terms of the epicenter numbers before it drops back down. But so far, nothing going on as far as the Cascadia goes in earthquake activity. Just tremor down below into the subduction zone. A little bit of activity across the Sierra Nevada. Let's see, up against the mountain ranges here. Mariposa area, 2.1 and a 1.6 earlier today. Not seeing anything major or unusual going on here in Southern California. Just a typical day. Actually hit 85 degrees here where I live in Northern California, just outside of Chico. It's a little warm. All right, Yellowstone National Park. Let's go over here and give a quick glance at that super volcano. See if we got anything going on that's not being listed. Doesn't look like it. Things are very clear. Not seeing any unusual activity. There's obviously, on occasion we get these little outside interference patterns at a couple of these stations, but aside from that, things look pretty clear. All right, okay, ended up back in the ocean. The rest of the states here, Oklahoma, a little bit of activity down into the that region of the plains. Puerto Rico, quite a few 3s and 2s up here across the Puerto Rico Trench. Look at the EMSC model globe. Confirms that as well. Not a whole lot going on across the Middle America Trench currently. Chile area and the rest of the southeastern Pacific out here looks fairly quiet. Some older movement quakes there this morning. We do see some further activity ramping up here around the Fiji area. Let's go ahead and scoot over here real quick. Did have some deeper movement Last night, 4.6 down there into the Tonga Trench, 575 kilometers deep. Now we're getting a little bit of adjustment upstream. We'll watch that though for some further activity. We've had a lot more deeper movement than we've had subsequent shallower earthquake activity. So we'll watch that region pretty closely. Not a whole lot going on across New Zealand. There is a 3.0 being reported, it looks like, by the EMSC model. So let's go check out the GeoNet servers here. Let's see what's cooking out here in the beautiful New Zealand area. Mostly 2s being reported here across the list. 4.3 it looks like just off the North Island, New Zealand area. Assuming that's the Kermadec Trench. Southern end, 114 kilometers deep. A glance at the earthquake drums here for New Zealand. That 4.3 should show up if that was a legit earthquake around the North Island. And it looks like it just barely showed up here. Notice this little blip across some of these North Island, New Zealand stations. But I guess that's, a little ways up there and deep into the Kermadec Trench. So not really picking it up all that drastically. As far as that 3.0 that's coming in here recently, looks like maybe that one down here, right? That was quite a few hours ago, though. And this 3.0 coming in, well, just about an hour ago. South Island, New Zealand. But where is it? Where is that 3-pointer? I'm not seeing it here in the last hour. None of these graphs are showing it. You guys see it anywhere? I don't. So a phantom earthquake, maybe, possibly. Not for sure where the that's the EMSC model that's getting that data, I believe. Source provided by GeoNet, but yeah, I don't know. I don't see it on there. All right, moving on here further to the west, we did see some further uptick here. We got a swarm of earthquake activity into the Java Trench, about the northern end here, off the coast of Sumatra. Couple upper 5s and some further 4s and 5s throughout the day. It could be indicated of some much larger movement about ready to take place. Remember, we did see a swarm up here in the Andaman Sea area a couple weeks back. That's going to be this swarm right here. Now we got a new swarm right here in the in this area of the Java Trench. A lot's been building up here recently. It's been a while since we've seen any major earthquakes. I'm talking about obviously above the 7.0 threshold. We've seen 6s and 5s and whatnot specifically in this area, but I think it's leading to something a little bit larger. Remember, we did have that 7.0 way deep here into the Java Trench, and that I believe is adding some good strain out here across the upper portions. So we'll watch that for some possible mega movement. Across the Philippine area and the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench, Japan area, all looks fairly quiet for now. That is our quiet zone, so to speak, our seismic gap zone. Very active, or I should say very obvious here over the last 24 hours. Not a whole lot taking place there. There's that 3.0. What else do we have here across Alaska region? Getting a couple small 4s up here along the Aleutian Trench, the latest one. Looks like a 4.3, almost the very end here of the Aleutian Trench. A little smaller earthquake activity across this area as well. Let's see what else. Anything major going on across this area of the world? Doesn't look like it. Some 4s popping off around Greece and the Turkey area, including a 3.3 coming in within the last hour. Aside from that, goodness, it looks pretty clear out here in the Atlantic Ocean. Excuse me, got a hiccup all of a sudden. So let's see, what else is there? With that 6-pointer over here, let me see here. Did we kind of skip this region? We did, just a little bit. That 6-pointer coming in early this morning, about 1 o'clock. So since then, we've seen some 5s and 4s working its way up north into this area. I still think this has to do with quite a bit of pressure being built up along this area of the plate boundary. Definitely believe it's pointing towards that area more so than not. So we'll definitely watch that area of the Java Trench off the coast of Sumatra. 1.2 Southern Cal just coming in. But aside from that, West Coast is fairly quiet. Not a whole lot of activity. A little bit of movement here at Yellowstone showing up, but some very small microquake activity on the seismograph stations. All right, let's see. I think that's about it, folks. We checked out space weather. Don't forget tomorrow, roughly, you want to probably around dark or so. Well, it'll be kicking in, but we'll be watching it and providing some updates throughout the day tomorrow. Anything major weather-wise going on? Let's check out Storm Prediction Center. Current day 1 outlook still looks like a little bit of a potential for severe weather down across portions of Texas. Tonight, I've seen some big hail that was reported out there around Brady, Texas, just outside of Brady, Texas there. I absolutely love the Brady, Texas area. I tend to stay there a lot when I visit the Texas area. And I'll probably be out there again here soon, just covering some weather details. I'll probably stay there again. Beautiful area. I love that area of Texas. All right, but aside from that, not a whole lot of future potential in severe weather. A quick glance here at the weather models. I kind of want to show you guys the temperature outlook here for the West Coast. Next week, it kind of looks like we're going to be in some 90s. Talking maybe mid-90s here around Wednesday and Thursday with a dominant high-pressure system. Notice that departure from average. Well above average, mid-90s here in April. Goodness, I am not okay with that. A little bit of colder air stretching down into portions of Oklahoma and Texas. And it looks like that's going to stay there for a little bit while the West cooks. And looks like entering into May, a much broader area of some colder temperatures across the majority of the eastern country. And of course out here in the West, I think it's going to be a hot one. I think we are going to cook. We always cook out here. I think last year we got I think it reached 117 here where I live. Yes, outside of Chico, we can get these hot temperatures. Redding up here can get even hotter. It's not Death Valley, it's the Sacramento Valley, but I call it the mini Death Valley up here in Northern California. So not looking forward to that, but luckily I'll be breaking out the pool, I think, here next week as we get some warmer temperatures coming in. All right, precipitation totals here. Precipitation and moisture, a lot of folks want to know about that. Total accumulated precipitation, let's go ahead and scoot this on until, well, this only goes until about the end of April, the 29th. Some further rain out here, it looks like, across portions of Texas. Kansas up here getting in on some moisture as well. Not quite enough. I don't think enough to put an end to their drought up here, but at least they're getting some what looks like some more measurable precipitation across this area. It is in an extreme drought zone up there, so hopefully we can get some much wetter weather taking place out there in that area of the country. All right, quick glance here at the buoys in the oceans. Nothing going on, nothing triggered, no major anything going on out here. Everything looks fairly stable for now. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a night. Hope everyone enjoys their rest of the weekend. Again, we'll be covering this G2 class storm coming in tomorrow night. I don't think we're going to see it here in Northern California, kind of like what we did last time. I think some folks up in Oregon seen it, and it was like visible from the Mount Shasta webcam. One of the news stations showed it, and it was pretty cool. But you got to have a very strong G3 class storm or higher to see it way down here. So G2, talking maybe the upper tier states into Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota. We'll see how far the Space Weather Prediction Center is going to put the potential for auroras. We'll check that out tomorrow once it gets a little bit closer and a little bit easier to forecast. Till then, folks, have yourself a great night and stay safe out there. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow.